Okay, so now that we just finished, guys, talking about cable TV, coaxial cable, and phone lines, the next thing that you guys will be working on, like I mentioned, is going to be the smoke fire alarm system inside this apartment. Yesterday, I showed you guys how to do that in CAD. We said we will have a combination smoke detector devices installed in every bedroom and in every area adjacent to the bedroom, like hallways. They will be interconnected with each other as there will be a signaling line between them. They will be powered with batteries and they will be powered from a lighting circuit in the area. That's what we said yesterday, right? And you guys installed a few of them in CAD. Today we'll talk a little bit about expanding into, remember we are doing dwellings. Later on, guys, when we put a full spiel fire alarm system with fire alarm annunciating panels and fire alarm control panels, we do bring speakers that will talk completely about how to put together a fire alarm complete system. We have rules and regulations. We'll go into this in details, guys. How to place smoke detectors in a commercial building, heat detectors. But today, be aware that this is directly related to dwelling. So I have smoke. Then, how about heat? If I can't put the smoke like in the kitchen, if you're frying bacon in the morning, Adam, and you put the smoke detector right there, a smoke detector will go off when it nuisancely. So what they do in certain areas, not required in a kitchen, but in certain areas, instead of putting smoke, they put heat detector. Okay, so we have smoke detector, heat detector. We also have carbon monoxide detectors. Um, Carbon monoxide detectors, very poisonous. We hear, especially in Minnesota, guys, a lot of people die from carbon monoxide detectors. These are colorless, odorless gas that kill you while you're sleeping. So required by building code in Minnesota. So you have installed one of these in every house, believe it or not. And of course, the last thing I want to talk about, there's a wiring system for security system. We stuck the security at the end. So let's go ahead and do that one. When it comes to the fire alarm system, there is an NFPA document called NFPA 72. NFPA 72 is called National Fire Alarm and Signaling Code. They changed the name. National Fire Alarm and Signaling Code. That's my 72, Fire Alarm 72. This document will tell you where do you need a smoke detectors and a heat detectors in any building. Can I get you guys to understand, if you want to know where do you need to put a smoke detector in the building, would you find it in the National Electric Code where the smoke detectors have to be located? No. Where would you find it? NFPA 72. So when you become an expert, Adam, in a low voltage and fire alarm system, the NFPA 2 is going to be your new Bible. So that will tell you exactly where to put them, and I have to connect them together too. Standard for the installation of household carbon monoxide detectors. Carbon monoxide detectors, the CO guys, also their standard. It talks about the standards for installing them. NFPA, so 720, Article 720, or document 720, not familiar with that. The NEC code book, the most important thing, this is the NEC code book 2011, will tell you how do you install these systems, not where, how. So if you're looking at where, you're looking at where is this document. If you're looking at how, as in wiring methods, is the NEC code book will tell you these are the type of wiring methods you're going to install, and this is how you install them in a building. Where to install them? You're going to go to 72. 72 also goes into deeper how to connect them, interconnect the systems. Okay. So a few things we need to go, guys. Basic understanding of the smoke and the heat and the carbon monoxide alarms. How do they work? What they're sensing. So these are what we're going to be talking about. Locations. Where do you drop the location of these? Again, smoke, heat, and carbon monoxide. Acceptable by minimum code by 72. So how do they work and where do you locate them? And then the last thing, when we talk about how to wire them, what type of wires you put into these systems. Okay. Requirement for the installation. So we know where do you need them? How do they work? Now, how do you install them? Installation. What type of wiring methods? Smoke and heat to meet and exceed the minimum requirements. And then at the end, we have a security system. we're going to talk about the installation for security system, which is a class 2 circuit. And of course, nothing goes without the UL standards covering fire warning equipment. So when you have a smoke detector, like everything else, it has to be approved by a recognized recognized testing laboratory, which is UL is one of the listing agencies. Okay, moving on. 72. Remember, 72 will tell you where. Smoke generally comes before fire. The reason why this smoke detection, and I'm not an expert in smoke, you're going to hear a lot of people guys coming here talking about smoke later on when we go to the commercial. But why do we care about sensing smoke? Before we burn the building, the first thing that comes out of most of fires is smoke, right? There are fires that the smoke is not the first thing that comes out of it, or not fast enough, or it comes too fast that you can't sense it. So smoke, that's why if we sense smoke, we sense fire. If we sense that there's fire, we can either act upon leaving the area to protect ourselves, or if we are authorized, we can eliminate the source of fire before it escalates into a bigger fire. So smoke alarms. Almost every building, guys, you have the primary means of protection against fires in homes, especially in homes for dwellings. There are two ways of doing it: either smoke detectors or sprinkler system. And I believe there was a push in the building code in Minnesota to put sprinkler system in dwellings. So imagine sprinkler system in dwellings, and your kids don't mind putzing around with these heads and busting them. So right now, the standard of protecting from fire in dwellings is fire alarm smoke detectors. You have fire alarm smoke detector, incorrect them. So if there is a smoke, get the heck out of there before you burn yourself inside your house. In a commercial building, there are two alternatives. One alternative for the smoke detectors is a sprinkler system. And later on, we'll talk about this one, guys. Okay, chapter 29 in the 72 talks about single and multi-family dwellings. And again, this is not the topic for the whole fire alarm system, guys, but more information in this chapter. We'll summarize it in a few things. So small residential board and care occupancies, they define the areas, guys. So 72 gets into defining what is a dwelling. Okay, so they have a building or a portion thereof that is used for lodging and boarding of four or more residents not related by blood or marriage to the owners or operators for the purpose of providing personal cares. So anyways, they get into, this article applies to a lot of buildings, but also they have certain buildings that also they want to apply the rule to it. And they define a portion, so this like lodging places and boarding places. They want to apply the same rules like a dwelling to it, meaning where do you put the smoke detectors in it. So they get into defining, guys, what a commercial building, what residential building, what a boarding building, and so forth. Okay, the most important thing since we're doing dwelling is this chapter will tell you where. Can I emphasize that where do you need a smoke detectors and heat detectors and alarms? So here's my smoke, here's my heat, and here is my alarm. Here's my alarm. And then everything, not just this one, guys, everything in the NEC code book must be, not just fire alarm system. This light, this switch, everything must be always installed, must be listed, and must be installed based on the manufacturer's instructions, always. This is no exception. I mean, in the electrical industry, almost like in any other industry, anything you use have to be listed by a third-party verification, because if you ask Chad about his performance, I'm the best thing that God ever created, right? But you need a third-party verification. That's what listing comes, a labeling. So listing and labeling, then you have to also install it based on the manufacturer's instruction. Okay, then after we know where and then how, and what type of wires, you're going to go to the NEC code book, guys, Article 760, and we're going to review the most important things. That tells you how to install. Can I emphasize the word how? So we know the where is coming from 72 and the how is coming from NFPA 70, which is an EC code book, Article 760. So two articles that lead you to this. Okay, there are in dwellings, guys, they use something called combination. In dwellings, they use something, I can't emphasize the word combination. A combination emphasizes two things: initiating devices, um, and alarming device, initiating devices, sensing devices. Smoke detectors are your sensors, and the alarms. So you have a sensing device, an alarming device in one big combo. You guys, the smoke detectors you put in a dwelling, they have three things in them, right? A mechanism to sense the smoke, that's the input. The output, when it senses the smoke, it's able to announce the existence of the smoke in two ways. Loud noise coming out of it, right? And what? You also have visual, right? The, the visual indication that the alarm, so you announce it by visually announcing it, the horns and the strobe. See that one here? Horns and strobe. So we have a horn and a strobe and a detector all in one. That's how they do it in dwellings. In a commercial building, they don't do it this way. They have horn, strobe, can you see that one by themselves, one device, and a smoke detector sitting there as a completely different device. Can I get you guys to understand that one? Because that's the principle of operation for a fire alarm system. You're initiating devices and you're annunciating devices. Initiating, annunciating, right? This will initiate that, yep, there is smoke. This will announce that there is a smoke. In dwellings, they have them all in one. That's it. So they have the initiating, so the smoke and the alarm, the detection, and the announcing will be in one device. Okay, some information. Alarm, we have heat versus smoke. Heat versus smoke, guys. Heat, one very easy. One will look at smoke, the other one will look at heat, temperature. Alarm, it will tell you visual, audio, or visual alarming that there is a fire. Detector, that could be detecting smoke or detecting heat. Heat versus smoke detectors, like I said, we'll talk about the two technologies. One sense smoke, one sense heat. Household fire alarm system. Household fire alarm system is made out of a combination. So you're going to have a heat. You're going to have three things in it, guys. You're going to have smoke detector. You're going to have horn, and you're going to have strobe, all in one. Can I get you guys to understand that one? When you wire it in a dwelling, the cheapest way, especially single and single family dwellings and two family dwellings, they use this device that have a horn, strobe, as well as a smoke detector in one. Versus in a commercial, look at this. We have a smoke, horn, strobe sitting there, detector sitting right above your head. Combination, that's basically where the combination is coming to be. Single versus multi-station alarms, so they have, and you can go to multiple station to alarm and receive signals and so forth. Okay, important terms: dwelling unit, living area, separate sleeping area. These are the defined dwelling units where people live, guys. You know, living area versus separate sleeping area. People where sleep like bedrooms versus living rooms in a dwelling area. Here's the rules. So heat smoke detector, smoke heat combination give occupant early. The idea here is to give you the occupant an early warning before a fire or a toxic fume. The fire or toxic fume. That's the reason why we detect these. Usually contain both detectors and alarms in single units. That's what we're just talking about, guys. The detector and the alarm in dwellings are home type smoke detectors, have the alarm and the detectors in one single unit. Unlike in commercial, where the detector is right above your head and the alarm is right here. They separate them. Okay? So the alarm and the detector in the dwellings, we put them all in one device. One device. Okay, detector type. Let's talk a little bit, guys, about the detector type. A few things that you have to do. 72, that's the fire alarm and signaling code, requires, can I emphasize, requires two sources of power. One 120 and the other one is battery. Done. So for dwelling, Or for Dunwoody, when you have a fire alarm system, you must have two sources of power for the fire alarm panel or the smoke detectors in your house. One of them has to be powered by 120, and it has to have batteries. Can I get you guys? That's new construction. Everybody understand that one? In the dwelling project that we have right now, you must provide, like we hardwired it yesterday, I told you, and they will come also with batteries. Very, very important. The second requirement, this is requirement number 1. Requirement number 2, error connection. Requirement number 2, guys, an error connection. They use a 14-3 cables between the smoke detectors, the 14, the hot and a neutral to power them, and they also a third wire, typically yellow wire, comes with it. We put it in the red, and that third wire send the signal. If one of them goes off, it will send the signal on the third wire to turn each and every one of them off. Can I have a thumbs up, Chad? We fully understand that when we do smoke detectors, we power them with hot and neutral, and then the third wire must run between them to send the signal. If one goes off, they all go off. That's requirement, error connection, must be error connection. If one go off, all of them go off simultaneously. Into outlets are not permitted to be in. Now, plugging ones, you cannot plug them in. In old construction, remodeling, they allow you to plug them in as smoke detectors, but not new construction. You can't plug them in. Okay, heating impaired use bright strobe lights because what the manufacturers, guys, the alarm, because of people who can't hear, what they do with these smoke detectors, the alarm have two components. They have audio component, or the sound, as well as the light. So you have light, strobes, as well as the sound that comes out of it, right? Makes sense. Somebody, if you cannot hear, hopefully you can see the strobe. So they almost all of them come with light strobe horn. They call it horn strobe combo. Look at this one here. If there's a fire, the horn will go off and the strobe will go. Wireless systems. Wireless, guys, I don't believe it's approved by 72, but for remodeling buildings. For remodeling buildings, you can use devices, power them with batteries, and they can wireless talk to each other. If one of them goes off, all of them go off. Anybody have installed a system like this? So you can put a smoke detector in the basement and in every level, wherever it's required, and they can wireless talk to each other. The interconnection, they're interconnected through wireless. Interconnected through wireless. They're UL standards, so they're listed. They might not be approved by every authorities. We still don't trust the wireless when it comes to life safety, so a lot of these guys have to be wired. Smoke detectors in a commercial industrial building must be wired. Wireless technology. Powered, you can power it with 120 for existing systems. Battery powered. So typically the rule is you have to have two sources of power, but for existing buildings, you might not have sources, it's already there, but there's no smoke detector. So they allow you guys to have battery smoke detectors everywhere, and you can interconnect them. In order to interconnect them with a wire, you know how many digging and holes you're going to make in a house? So they allow you to make wireless technology to talk to each other. Now I can get into any existing house, can put smoke detectors anywhere in the house needed, and put batteries on them, not hardwired, existing house, and now these, I can get you a good fire alarm protection for this house. Can I have thumbs up, Chad? That's for existing buildings. New buildings, hardwired. Okay, here's what hardwired is, guys. So what we typically do, here's that 20 amp circuit like we did. Here's my 15 amp circuit. And this is typically lighting circuit. So from this side, you have lights, typically light. And then you tap and you feed the smoke detectors where this is 14.2, and then you take a 14.3 between them. I want to bring to your attention, guys, the black and the white are to power the devices because they need to be powered. The red, anybody can tell me what the red is doing? The red is interconnection between all of them. So if this goes off, it will send a signal on the red for each and every one of them to go off. That's required by 72. Can I have thumbs up, Chad? That 72 require you to interconnect the smoke detectors with a third wire. If one goes off, all go off. Now that interconnection, that for existing building, that wire might not exist. So what do? You have wireless technology, so they can talk wireless to each other. Any comments, any questions, guys, how we wire them? Do we put them on a dedicated circuit? These are by any C code book, guys. They are not considered fire alarm system. These are power devices, right? There's 120. These are 120 devices. So you can put them on, typically what we do is we put them in a lighting circuit. Why? Because if the lighting circuit goes off, you know that the circuit, somebody turned it off, you know that it's turned off. In a commercial industrial building, we bring a dedicated circuit for the fire alarm system, put it on a 20 amp circuit dedicated, and we lock it in the open position too. Okay, technologies that we have for the smoke detector. How do they sense the smoke? There are two technologies, guys. Technology number one, they have light sensor that measures the amount of light in the chamber. So they have a little chamber here, a light sensor that measures the beam here, beaming it. If this chamber, this is inside the chamber, if this chamber is full of smoke, right? Now when smoke gets into that chamber, guys, fills it, that light sensor no longer can sense that the light beam is going from this point to this point, right? Guess what? That interruption of the light beam, that's how they sense the existence of smoke. They call it the photoelectric light sensor, photoelectric smoke detectors. The second one, guys, is ionization. Ionization, they have radioactive material. Oh boy, scary. Radioactive material right in here. Here's my chamber. Radioactive material, the same thing, creating a microcurrent. They create the radioactive material, creating a microcurrent. When the smoke gets into this chamber, this little chamber, when the smoke gets into this chamber, it impedes the flow of that current. It stops the current from flowing. And guess what happened? When you stop the current, there is a brain, electronic brain for these smoke detectors, a sensing circuit basically. It senses the lack of the flow of current, and it will send a signal to initiate an alarm. Can I guys get you to understand that one? You're going to see a lot of people coming here for when we talk about smoke for commercial building fire alarm system, talking about the same technologies. Photoelectric, they use a light sensors, senses a light beam, or radioactive, create a current from the radioactive material. If the smoke gets into it, it interrupts the flow of that current because the smoke impede or prevent the current from going through. When the current stops, the electronics that make the brain of this smoke detector sense the lack of current, and that will initiate an alarm condition. Send the signal to this to go off. Any comment, any question of us about these two technologies? Technology photoelectric 1 and 2. You're going to hear people coming and talking about it a lot here. Can you have thumbs up, Chad? We fully understand. It's basically they interrupt the current. They interrupt the current. Okay. So these are your smoke detectors. Your smoke detectors, they look for smoke. How do they sense the smoke? The smoke will accumulate in a little chamber, right? And that chamber has a current, photoelectric or my photoelectric one or ionization one. And when it prevents that current from moving, it sends a signal. That's the means of sensing that there is a smoke in the area. Heat alarm. The heat, guys, here's how they sense the heat. They call it fixed temperature sensor, a specific fixed temperature. So fixed temperature, like if the temperature goes higher than 150 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm just throwing this number, a sensing device sitting there, it's not looking at smoke, looking at heat. If it sees a huge temperature like 150, 200, it will go off. Where would they put things like this, guys? In an area where there's flammable materials, and if you have a fire, if the smoke doesn't come doesn't stay for a long time before the fire, flash fire they call it. They have a flash fire, guys. They put heat detector, so the heat comes so high, it picks the heat, and it alarms on heat. So that's fixed temperature. Rate of rise, guys, if the temperature was here and all of a sudden it jumped to here. My temperature was 80 degrees, and within 10 seconds, I jumped all the way to 300 degrees. What do you think happened in a room like this? If the temperature all of a sudden was 80 degrees here, and all of a sudden jumped to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, you must have put something like gasoline on fire here. You put it, bam, big explosion happened. So they sense that temperature difference from this to this and the alarm immediately. And these guys are all technologies for different applications. And of course, there's one that has both of them, both technologies. It can sense at a certain temperature as well as the temperature, the rate of rise, they call it. So the two technologies on them. And if that's not enough, they can also have a heat and a smoke, um, a heat and a smoke detector. Heat and smoke detector device that sense both heat and smoke at the same time. So a lot of these guys that you can see them right now in the market for residential, they can carbon monoxide detectors as well as natural gas detectors as well as smoke detectors. Have you guys seen them? When you go to Home Depot, you can buy one smoke detector you can install in your house that can sense the following: natural gas, right? If you have natural gas, you can sense a carbon monoxide detector as well as smoke combination. Okay, where do I need smoke detectors in a building? Very important. Yesterday, guys, I told you number one, every sleeping area. Sleeping areas are not kitchens. Do you sleep in your kitchen? Could be. My son would. Sleeping areas are the bedroom, right? So every bedroom. Outside of all bedrooms, number two, that's hallways, right? The hallways outside the bedrooms require smoke detector. Yesterday, guys, when I was walking you through, why do you think I told you this? This is coming from 72. Outside this, all levels, every level must have at least one smoke detector, regardless if there's a bedroom in it or not. So the basement, for example, where you don't have bedrooms, must have a level. Guest rooms and suites. If you have guest rooms and suites, like hotels and motels, guys, they require them the same thing. And living rooms and hallways. Any comments, any questions? Now you know where to put your smoke detectors. In dwellings, a smoke detector, guys, is also a smoke alarm. A detector and alarm is the same thing. Can I get you guys to understand? When we go to commercial later on, a detector right above your head is completely separate from an alarm, which is a horn stroke. Horn stroke here, detector right there. In dwellings, they take this device and these two, merge them in one, and come up with one detector alarm device. They call it the smoke detector. When we say smoke, it's really more than a detector. It's an alarm device as well as a detector. It senses and alarms at the same time. Okay, so that's where we need them. So now we know where we need them. Now, rules of installing them. These rules, guys, rules installing them, you can find this one in the PS 70, 70 NEC code book. Okay, I'm sorry, and the BS 72. These are from 72. When you install them, not closer than 4 inches from walls, not further than 12 inches. When you put them in a wall, you're going to go not closer between 4 inches and 12 inches from the ceiling. And flat ceilings, not closer, if you put them flat ceiling, not closer than 4 inches from the adjoining walls. You're going to look at this one. Peak ceiling, 36 inches, measured horizontally. Sloped ceiling, 36 inches. And there's a couple of nice pictures, guys, here. Later on, you're going to see, okay, here's the location, guys. Here's my bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom 3. You're going to come up and tie them together here and take them to circuit number 1 from panel -1, right? And so these are how we wire them. That's what you guys did yesterday with me, right? Do I need one in the living room? No. Could I put one in the living room? Yeah, if you want, you just put one in the living room. Can I put one? Is it a good idea to put the smoke detector in the kitchen? No. So if you are worried about burning something in the kitchen, what's the good idea to put in the kitchen? Anybody can tell? How about heat detector? I can put a heat detector here and tie it to the same system. A heat detector and tie it to the same system. These are not required though. These two are not required. Any comments, any questions, guys, where you need smoke detectors? Sleeping area, every level, every area adjacent to sleeping area. Okay, location. Now we know where we need to install them. How to install them in this area? Do not, so there's a few areas, guys, do not install. They don't want you to install them in corners. Can you guys see this area here and this area here? The reason why they don't want people to put them here because the smoke, by the time, the smoke reached this area right here, that corner, by the time it reached that corner, the whole room here will be engulfed in fire. So they don't want you to put them in areas. Here's all the location for them. Mount alarms on the bottom of the edge of the joist. Here's different locations. 4 inches. Can you guys see the 4 to 12 inches? Right in here, when you mount this one, 4 to 12 inches. Install alarm. So these are the location, recommended location, every level. The areas you cannot do is right here in the corners. You can do them. Center of the room, top of the stairway, center of the room, typically. Number 5, basement must be located in close proximity to the stairway leading to the floor level. The reason why we put them guys closer to the stairway in the basement, because they have an they also can indicate the location of the stairway. If there is a fire, you shouldn't be sleeping in the basement, but if at night you're in the basement, there is a fire, the fire alarm location will lead you to the exit of that area. To the exit of the area. Any comments, any questions about where do you need the smoke detectors and how do you install them? Can I have thumbs up, Chad? We understand that one. So we need them in every bedroom, hallways, adjacent to bedrooms, every level. Where do you install them? You can't install them in corners like these, 4 inches, closer, 4 inches to the ceiling. If you're on the wall, you have to stay within 4 to 12 inches from the bottom, right in this area. You have to install it. Okay, here's what they call this area, guys. 4 inches, 4 inches. This area is a dead area. By the time the smoke reaches this area, the whole room will be engulfed in fire. So they don't want you to install. So when you install your smoke detector in a wall, you have to install it somewhere here, between 4 and 12 inches. Can you guys see that? When you install it in the ceiling, you have to put it somewhere here, further away. You can't put it here. You can't put anything here. Can I have thumbs up, Chad? That 4 inches from corners is a sacred cow. Shall not install a smoke detector there, because the smoke, by the time it reaches it there, it's too late. It's just too late. Okay, slopes. They want you guys to install them. If you have a slope like this, see here's the 4 inches, that area that no shall not be installed. Then they want you to install them anywhere in this area. You measure, can you guys see it? 36 inches from here to here. So here's my point, and here's my point. So I shall install my smoke detectors anywhere in this area, between 4 and wherever the 36 inches land on the slope. Can I have a thumbs up, Chad? That's a requirement. But why do they do it this way, guys? Because that's the best. These devices will perform the best if you install them in these locations, based on the fire, the progress of the fire, and the spread of the fire. Same thing, guys. If you have a ceiling like this, look what they do. That 4 inches here, go down 4 inches, and cross. You can't install anything here. 36 inches, recommendation, it will be in this area. Recommendation. Can I have thumbs up, Chad? We fully understand that one. So all these diagrams, guys, are coming from 72. 72. Maintenance and testing, the code is full of maintenance and testing, guys. You're supposed to monthly. Can I emphasize the word monthly, like GFCI? Test them monthly. So you're supposed to go to the button that says test and push each and every one of them monthly. I do that one a lot just because I have kids, and this, that's monthly. And every 10 years, I haven't done that. Every 10 years, you're supposed to replace them, or if they malfunction. If they malfunction immediately, and if they otherwise, every 10 years, you're supposed to your smoke detector replace them. It becomes, 10 years is a long time, but you're supposed to replace them every 10 years, test them monthly. These are recommendations from 72, guys. Okay, carbon monoxide detector. Any comments about the smoke detector and the heat detector? Oh, by the way, heat detector, where do you need a heat detector? The code doesn't talk about heat detector. The heat detector is typically needed in areas where smoke detector will create nuisance dripping. Like kitchens, you put a smoke detector and you fry some bacon on a Sunday morning, what's going to happen? So it's not required by code in a dwelling to put a smoke detector, but if you want more protection, you can put a heat detection in a kitchen.
Yeah, like a kitchen, like mixed breakfast area. Can you still do that there though?
It's not recommended. It's not recommended anywhere in a dining or kitchen area. Not recommended. You can. You don't violate the code if you put one there.
Yeah,
But what's happening is nuisance tripping. It drives people nuts.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was asking, because, like, I know in my place, like, probably
Yeah.
7 or 8 feet from the oven, there's a smoke alarm, and every time we open it up, it sets it off. So I wasn't sure if you, like,
Its recommendation is that if you are worried about fire in the kitchen, heat detectors.
yeah,
Why nuisance, guys? People get mad. I mean, it's every time you fry something, kitchen, there's a lot of smoke coming out of the kitchen, right? People fry things and do things. You don't want nuisance, but you are hopefully you're there. But if you're worried about fire in the kitchen, not required for more protection, you can stick a heat detector. By that time, obviously, the kitchen might be engulfed in fire, but at least it alarms you. You know what I mean? So, but can you put a smoke detector in kitchen? Yes, you can. It's not recommended though. Okay, carbon monoxide detector. This baby, guys, you guys are familiar with this one, especially in Minnesota. This guy kills a lot of people because it's odorless, colorless, tasteless. So you're sleeping and you wake up and you're dizzy and you drop dead. We hear this one in Minnesota all the time in the winter, right? Highly poisonous. Now, what worse can you get? That's like chemical weapon almost. You hear about the chemical weapon in Syria. That's almost a chemical weapon. Now, in your house, odorless, colorless, tasteless, and highly poisonous. That's why in Minnesota, based on the building code, guys, and recommend every house have to have a carbon monoxide detector, at least one in every house. Um, carbon monoxide, carbon monoxide. Okay. Produce why? What does it produce? It by incomplete burning. As your furnace take the natural gas, if it could, under certain circumstances, guys, malfunction, meaning it doesn't burn it completely. If it doesn't burn that natural gas completely, the byproduct of incomplete burning of natural gas or any process, it will be a carbon monoxide, that CO. Bad news. So every house required to have at least one carbon monoxide detector. They have them also in a combo, as in small carbon monoxide. That's what a lot of people do. Can you have thumbs up, Chad? We fully understand that one. It's required at least in every dwelling. One. Here's the requirement: at least one in every home. Outside where? Outside the individual living room. I have one for my kids in the hallway between our 3 bedrooms. Have one right in there. Early warning. So what does it do? It provides you early warning when a dangerous level of carbon monoxide exists, so you can get the heck out of there. Contained installation recommendation. So that's and 720 contains installation recommendation, guys. About this particular article, section 720 or NFPA 720 um, document contains installation recommendation about the carbon monoxide detector. But in Minnesota, we require in every house one close to uh, the living area. So like in a hallway between multiple rooms. Now, if you have 2-story house and you have 2 bedrooms and 2 levels, it will be recommended in one every level. Any comments, any questions about carbon monoxide? You could have smoke and carbon in one. So for the project that we're going to have, we're going to assume that's going to be a smoke and carbon monoxide detector. Okay, fire alarm system, guys, is all covered by Article 720. They define the fire alarm system. Now, this is not a smoke detector. This is how they define it, guys. You have a 20 amp circuit come into a transformer. Out of that transformer, get you a 24 volt. And all this one is fire alarm control panel. And from here, there's all the inputs and outputs. And from each and every one of these are your horns and strobes and so forth. These circuits here, between the source of the power limited fire alarm system all the way to the horns, all the way to the horns and strobes and the smoke detectors, these called are your fire alarm system. That's your fire alarm system. The horn, strobes, detectors in dwellings is not fire alarm system, guys. They're devices. So they define it as the wiring system between the load side of the overcome detection device or the power limited supply and the connected equipment of all circuits powered by and controlled by the fire alarm system. They are fire alarm circuits, guys, based on Article 760 are classified either are non-power limited or power limited. A lot of them are power limited, 24 volts or less, not a whole lot of juice in them. So they are free of the shock hazard, but not of the fire hazard, free of the shock hazard. Excuse me. So that's, you need to know that one. Any comments, guys? Any questions? Comments, questions before we get you into the last thing, which is the security system. So we know where to install them. There's a lot of recommendation, guys, how to install and so forth. Okay. Security system, guys, this is your signaling. Security system can be very simple or very complex, from, based on the features that you do. You can have master control panel, a lot of them do, with exterior and interior sirens and motion detectors and so forth. All these, the security system is covered in Article 725 and it's called Class 2 circuit. And I don't know if you guys remember, Class 2 circuits, we talked about it a couple of times ago, a couple of days ago. We said these are, you cannot install them with power and lighting circuits. They're typically 24 volt system, low voltage, power limited, shall not be installed in the same cable box or conduits with any power or lighting circuit. The security, I have a couple of pictures I'm going to show you about the security system that similar to what we have. Let me go into a couple of these. Heat detectors, smoke detectors, we'll talk about these. Here's the battery, guys, source for the smoke heat detectors. We talked about the interconnection between these two systems, where you need them. We talked about the locations. The last thing I want to talk about here is really talked about all these security. Here's different devices, security system, motion detector, and so forth, guys, and horns and strobes. So please look at them. Okay, here's what I would like to focus on. Here's my security panel, guys. This is my security panel, master security panel. That's what you guys are going to do with Chad. Here's your security panel, right? My security panel. The first thing you need to do is go power it. So can you guys see that power coming out? 15 amp. Power that. Everybody can see that's my security panel. I'm powering this security panel. Then you're going to have devices. Can you guys see a magnetic door? What's that? Magnetic detector. So you can have a magnetic detector that detects metal or whatever, an alarm. You can have a glass break. I want you guys to do a glass break. You can have door entry detectors, floor mat detectors. Somebody walk into a floor, it detects that you're there. You can have roller/plunger detector, window foil detector. All these are different inputs that can get you guys into the signal. So what they do is they take 24 volt, guys, and they wire them right through the whole system, goes all the way back. And if you interrupt this circuit in any location, it goes into alarm. That's how they do them. These are your signaling circuit or input circuit. They always give a telephone line, guys, so you can call the police or your security panel. They have a phone line coming to it, so that's what you guys are going to do, phone line. Key operated, we have key operated remote switches here. You can turn them on and off. We have, they can interface it, they don't have to with a heat detector and smoke detector, but so if you have a fire alarm in your building, the security panel can talk to you, can interface it. We can have also a light to go off if you have, here's my light through a relay, little relay with an alarm can turn the light off if, for example, an intruder walk into this building, this light goes off, on. I mean, the light will go on when the intruder walks into this room, so it scares them. There's digital, the keypad, they call it keypad. My keypad, guys, this is to program, arm, and disarm the system. Arm the system meaning now you're ready, nobody can touch it. Disarm the system means I don't want you to work. So you can arm and disarm the system. ultrasonic detectors, so you can what is that? That one we have infrared transmitter, infrared receivers, ultrasonic motion detectors. You guys are gonna require to do that one. So all these are your inputs. Your outputs are here. Here's your outputs. Can you guys see that? Your outputs can be outside sirens, right? So we have outside alarms or strobes, and also another output that can go through the phone line, send a signal to the police or to the security system. Any comments, guys? Any questions? You can have an output also if you have an intruder to lock certain things. You can have an output out of security panel, guys. You can start a machine gun if you see an intruder. It really, all what you have to do is see that relay here. Instead of operating a lighting fixture here, it can operate anything you want. Right? All what you have to do in interface, give it a signal and give it as much power if you want from any circuit and let it run. Run what? Run a door, run a light, run a machine gun, run anything you want it to run. So the possibility is endless. Any comments, any questions? So for our project, guys, yesterday, Derek, you weren't here. I told everybody else I want you guys to have, we said we need to do glass break or glass detectors and door entry detectors. These two I require you guys to do. And I wanted motion detectors. Where's my motion? Motion detectors. I'm requiring you guys to do that yesterday, right? Do you guys remember that? So we need here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I need a keypad.
They still install motion detectors in homes?
They don't, but I want one just to get you into it. Yeah, it's overwhelming. I mean, for homes, they really motion detectors. That's typically for commercial industrial buildings. But I want you guys to get into the habit of getting into it. And then we have to write. I want you guys to have a phone coming to it, and we need, of course, a horn stroke. We need a horn, and that's basically it. We need a horn inside the building. We need a phone tied to it, and we need the other a keypad. That's what I'm requiring you guys to do. My sister is online here. You guys have Skype, jumps in at you from time to time. Any comments, guys? Any questions about this? Is one of the best wiring, well, one of the best wiring diagram for a security system that we have in this book. It tells you any security system, any low voltage system, guys, is very simple. It's made out of 3 things, really. You have the input devices. These are the eyes and the ears of the system, the input devices, right? Like glass break input, door break, door contacts, glass contacts, motion detector, all these inputs. Then you have the outputs. The outputs are the hands and the legs of the system that you can make an output, which is typically either horn strobe or light, make the light flash, make big noises, sirens. These are the output of the system. And the brain of the system. The brain of the system is the electronic that goes into it that requires a power. Every low voltage system, guys, required power to cook the electronics in it. And then it sends the signal and receive the signal. Without power, you can't work. That power can be coming from a battery, or it can be coming from typically 120, and you have a backup batteries on them too. Any comments, any questions, guys? Comments, questions about that? So that's basically it, all what I want to do. So summarize, guys, these 2 chapters, very important, directly related at the beginning of the week to what we're going to be doing this week, which is upper and lower low voltage fire alarm system, security system, phone, data, and TV systems. I hope between what I told you, what I walked you through yesterday in CAD, and what these chapters can do, guys, that will give you enough information to do a low voltage design system for this apartment building. Do on Friday. Yeah, do on Friday. Any comments, any questions? Please do yourself a favor. Read these chapters, guys. I know fire alarm and low voltage systems, guys, are specialty, but you could be the person who is specialized in this. So the advantage for you, Matt, that you will be able to lay out the power, the lighting, the low voltage. So all these are tools that you can use to advance your career, right? But you will never be master of all though. At one time, you'll specialize in a few. Cool? That's all I have for you guys. Okay, so